Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We had a really interesting first presentation by our first speaker, and next up is Kayiya, who is with IQBusiness and who will be speaking to us about a very important topic, I think, which is along the theme of this whole event, AI investment opportunities in Africa. Chris, welcome, and we look forward to listen and to learn from you. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Johan, for that introduction. Just checking, can you hear me, Johan?
Yes, I can hear you and I can see the slides.
All right, great. Thank you. Once again, thank you, Juan, for that introduction. It's certainly my pleasure to be back this year again to be part of this conference. Just as an introduction, my name is Kayiya, as Johan has alluded to. I'm a manager at IQBusiness within the data and analytics practice, and I've been in that space, data analytics, for the past 15 years. Happy Africa Day for those who were celebrating on Tuesday. For us in Africa, it's certainly a very important day for us. And following on that theme, my talk today is focusing on opportunities that AI presents for the continent, and more specifically for those who are looking at investing in Africa. And what I'll do with my talk today is that I'll give you an overview of global trends when it comes to investments in artificial intelligence. And then we'll take our gaze into Africa, looking at capital inflows into some of the regions within Africa. And then I'll highlight some of the key sectors that are rife for investment. And lastly, what I'll do is I'll show you where the investments, where the major deals when it comes to artificial intelligence are happening within the context. As we all know from the different presentations that have been presented today and yesterday, is that artificial intelligence is a convergence of different technologies that in a sense enable machines to act in a higher level of intelligence, to emulate some of our capabilities as humans. And in other spaces, AI has been described as one of our largest technological revolutions of our times, which emulates some of the previous technological breakthroughs like electricity, railways, and information technology. I think you again also gave us an overview yesterday when he talked about how AI has the potential of increasing global GDP by increasing productivity as a whole. Given the hype of artificial intelligence, what does this mean for us here in Africa? Here my slides. What does it mean for us here in Africa? Certainly for us in Africa, artificial intelligence can help us with some of the pervasive problems that we face as a continent, from reducing poverty to improving education and delivering healthcare by eradicating also diseases. When we look at some of the sustainable development goals that United Nations had introduced, AI can play a significant role in helping us achieve some of these goals. From an investment point of view, we are seeing that companies that are seeing significant value when it comes to AI are continuing to invest even during the pandemic. A recent PwC report noted that there's been over $90 billion invested in AI companies just in last year alone. This huge figure shows us that there's an increasing interest in the technology, both in public and private sector funders, because they're now starting to see the true capability of the technology. What I want to show you now is some of the figures that we saw from up to 2019, where the deals that are happening in terms of investment in AI companies. What you see on your screen, as you can see, there's been a steep rise in the number of equity deals that have been going or flowing into AI startups, which culminated in $26 billion in 2019. Those are the number of deals that were happening, 2,000 deals that happened in 2019 alone, right? The market is also starting to respond to the value of these companies, which is now we're starting to see unicorn AI companies having valuations of excess $1 billion US. That's astronomical. And this is testament that AI startups are being taken seriously, and the technology is now taking foot when it comes to its capability. Some key takeaways for 2021 that we've already starting to see at the beginning of the year is that healthcare AI has attracted the most investment when it comes to all the AI sectors. The volumes, what we're seeing in terms of the volumes of the deals that were happening, they're more focused on cross-industry AI more than industry-specific AIs. And also we're starting to see what we call mega rounds of deals. Mega rounds are those deals that are in excess of 100 million US. So already we're starting to see the interest in this technology. So what I want to show you is when it comes to Africa, where is the investment going? As they say, if you want to see where the action is, follow the money. What I'm showing you on the screen is foreign direct investment that is coming to the country. The figures I'm showing is 2019. As we all know, 2020 was an anomaly, so it's not really a true indicator of where investment was flowing. 2019 gave us a better picture of where capital inflows were going into the countries. And some of the countries that you see that receive the majority of the inflows are not too much of a shock. South Africa received the bulk of it. It overtook Nigeria as receiving the most investment capital inflows. And this foreign direct investment is investment in all sectors of the economy. What's interesting to note, though, however, that the pandemic crisis arrived at a time when foreign direct investment was already at a decline in Africa. It had reduced by 10%. But what's interesting, specifically for us here in Southern Africa, is that Southern Africa was the only sub-region that actually increased in terms of investment. It had a 22% increase in capital inflows compared to other regions in the continent. And this is a testament of what's important for us here in Southern Africa. So what I want to show you is in terms of when you focus on artificial intelligence equity deals, where are those investment? Where are the hotbeds of investment in the continent? What you see on the screen is where the majority of the deals are happening when it pertains to investments in artificial intelligence, equity deals that are happening in the continent. Some of these countries obviously are also not a shock, but what's common about all these countries is that their respective governments have put in place artificial intelligence task forces to develop roadmaps for these technologies that will define the fourth industrial revolution. And what we've seen is that this is a critical ingredient for attracting investment in this sector. South Africa received the bulk of the investment when it comes to artificial intelligence deals that were happening. It received the majority. We also saw AWS and the establishing a physical presence in the country. We saw also the Chinese telecom giant Huawei also joining the league and announcing that it will launch 2 data centers in South Africa. Some of the countries that are not on your screen that also received notable investments are countries like Ghana, where Google is establishing artificial intelligence center. Microsoft also entered Ghana. When we look at South Africa, which received the majority of the investments, there's one particular province that stands out amongst all of them, and it's the Western Cape. It's interesting that I'm presenting after Sean, who's in Cape Town, and he's a testament of is a testament of what exactly I'm talking about. And that's the question that I've been asking myself: what's so peculiar about the Western Cape and Cape Town in particular? Why is it attracting the majority of the AI investment, and AI deals are happening in Cape Town? So my investigation helped me come up with these stats. And this is the reason that Cape Town has attracted the majority of the deals when it comes to artificial intelligence. What we're seeing is that in excess of 550 tech companies reside in Cape Town, and they employ in excess of 40,000 employees. And last year alone, we saw 46 deals, equity deals, that accounted to 1.2 billion worth of value. And what's peculiar about Cape Town is that the majority of the venture capital firms are based in Cape Town, which makes it easy for investment as well. And some interesting facts is that co-working spaces are the most in Cape Town, and it makes connectivity easy because it's got 715 Wi-Fi hotspots alone. One interesting fact that I came across, which is not on your screen, is that Cape Town has a coffee drinking culture, which apparently is another key ingredient for attracting tech skills. I think one important point that is worth mentioning, I think Sean alluded to it in his presentation, is that skills are very critical for a thriving AI ecosystem. And Cape Town just shows you why it's important. Cape Town has the best university in the continent, and third on that list is Stellenbosch. And this is testament of why skills are very important. And this is why the investment is flowing into Cape Town. And another important thing to note there is that Cape Town has the highest density of digital skills training academies. This is why EdTech is becoming a hub in Cape Town. So what I want to do now is focus on just give you an overview of where the sectors that seem to be attracting the majority of the investment. As we've already noted that artificial intelligence is the fuel for economic growth, and it has the potential to, in some studies, to double global GDP by 2035. So what I want to show you is some of the key sectors that if you're looking at investing, these are some of the sectors that you need to look at, especially when you're looking at in Africa. The first one is agriculture. As we all know, agriculture is critical for us in Africa, and it's critical for our growth. We're seeing that demand for food is projected to at least double by 2050, which is driven by population growth and rising incomes and a rapid urbanization that we're seeing in the continent. Certainly, AI and machine learning in particular has the potential to improve productivity and efficiency in this sector. Another one that we're seeing where investment is rife is healthcare. We all know that healthcare systems in Africa, and here in South Africa is not different, is that healthcare systems in Africa face a number of structural challenges. These medical systems often suffer with shortages when it comes to qualified professionals. Supplies are scarce, which ultimately results in divergent outcomes. AI certainly can help plug some of these gaps and enhance the outcomes. And we're starting to see startups which are developing AI-focused healthcare solutions to address some of these challenges. Government sector is another sector that we are seeing potential, certainly potential in helping some of the challenges. Look, African citizens, with their experience with public service is often a challenge, to say the least. Delivery is characterized by backlogs, redundant tasks, slow responses, and a general poor quality, which leads to low level of satisfaction. Through automation, AI technologies can significantly streamline some of these processes and reduce the cost and ease this administrative burden. Finance is a very critical sector for us here in Africa. It has been identified as a key factor to reducing poverty in most of our countries. In Africa, the objective, which was identified by United Nations, is that we need to ensure that millions of Africans are included in the financial economy. And again, AI has the potential to achieve this by changing the way we access financial services, the way we save, invest, and insure. African banking markets have been described some of the most innovative and exciting in the world, not only because they are fast growing, but they are the hotbed of innovation. Lastly, education, which is one of the key factors that has been described in a number of studies as the best to increase social mobility for African citizens. Education is one of the areas that AI is poised to have a great impact. AI can be used for a number of things like monitor the progress of students, alert teachers when certain alert students, teachers for when certain performance is not adhered to. It provides useful feedback, and what we noted in Africa, unlike other regions of the world, dropout rates across the continent are very, very, very high. And this has a significant consequence when it comes to social and economic development. AI certainly can help in terms of alleviating some of these challenges. What I want to do in the last few minutes that I have is just to give you some use cases that we're starting to see are being deployed in some of these sectors that I've mentioned. I won't go through all the sectors, but some of them which are worth mentioning is what I'll take you through the few minutes that I have with you. The first sector that I want to look at is healthcare. And what you see on the screens is the value chain, or rather the holistic healthcare system, the different segment of the healthcare system, from patient care, diagnostic, R&D, and management. Some of the use cases that you see here are already being deployed already by the use of artificial intelligence. And this is where the opportunity lies for those who are looking at investing. And Africa is rife for this investment. Some of these use cases are already being deployed by some of the companies, most of which are situated in South Africa. The second one that I want to give you an overview is, as I've mentioned, agriculture is very critical for the sustainability and the growth of Africa. What I've shown you on the screen is the life cycle of a typical agricultural process, and AI can play a role in every stage of the life cycle, from weather forecasting to soil and crop health monitoring. By the use of drones, AI is very critical in answering some of the challenges that we see. And this is critical not only for large scale farmers, but also for smallholder farmers. The last sector that I want to show you some use cases is an important sector, education, which is, I've already mentioned, is very critical for us Africans, because this is a critical, not only is it critical for social mobility, but it's also critical for also creating a vibrant ecosystem for AI. AI can play a significant role, and we've noted as well with the lockdowns that the digital transformation in this sector is very, very critical. And during the lockdown, we noticed that those sectors of the economy that were not digitally transformed suffered significantly when it comes to this. What I want to end my talk with is, given the excitement and the hype in artificial intelligence, and artificial intelligence presents a lot of opportunities for us in Africa. There's lots of investment opportunities for those who are looking at investing in the continent. However, we still have challenges as a continent that, if you're looking at investing, you need to be cognizant of, and which is what I want to highlight as I end my talk. Some of these challenges, most of you are not, they're very familiar to most of us. The first on my list, which I think is quite critical, I think Sean alluded to in his talk, is skills. For you to have a vibrant AI ecosystem, you need to have the requisite skills to be able to deploy some of these technologies. And I think that's where we tend to lag behind some of the developed countries. AI, what we've seen that is, we've been told that AI is bringing the future to us. And certainly the future has arrived. The challenge we have in Africa is that this future is not evenly distributed, because we're riddled with some of the challenges, infrastructure, connectivity. So although we have pockets of excellence, For example, Western Cape is one of those populous excellence. The other provinces are not don't have that capability as well. I won't go through all of them, but some worth noticing is that I think ethical deployment of these technologies is very key. We have seen concentration of power already, even before these technologies were of interest. We need to think how we deploy these technologies. And if you're looking at investing in this sector, ethics should be key and paramount in terms of your processes. Lastly, I just want to mention that one of the challenges that we face in Africa that investors will need to overcome is that what they call data desert. We still lack in terms of international standards by the availability of data. It's only up to now that we are finding a lot of Africans are now starting to get connected, not only internet but having cell phones. But we still lag behind in most of in most areas. I think that's all from me. I hope my talk was insightful in terms of those who are looking at investing in the continent and those who are looking at coming into the continent to invest. And I hope I've given you an overview of the exciting journey ahead as Africa and that AI presents for us as Africans. Johan, thank you. I don't know if there are any questions.
Chris, we're kind of out of time, but firstly, I want to commend you on a really good presentation. You mentioned a number of facts and figures and stats that I definitely want to dig into, so I'm looking forward to seeing the recording. But really well done. Thank you so much. And it's just another talk to make us proud about what is happening here, but also kind of a rallying call that we can do so much more. Chris, there is one question in the kind of the questions section by Emmanuel. If you have a few moments, if you can just maybe answer it by text. But thank you so much for a very, very well delivered and insightful conversation. And with that, we're going to have another 1 minute break until we get to our next presenter. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.